What's up, DC Nation? Welcome back to another video, and today we're checking out Dark Knight's Death Metal, The Secret Origin #1. Now, in this issue, we're going to see Superboy-Prime go up against the Darkest Knights. Now, a little recap to get you up to speed on what's going on in this event. We got the Batman Who Laughs, who was just a Joker and Batman hybrid. Now, he got the powers of Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen universe and the Mobius chair, and pretty much became a god, right? Now, he brought these 52 worlds from the dark multiverse that are just evil worlds filled with dark incarnations of our heroes, of DC heroes. We have a Superman that just eats people's flesh. We have the Robin King with this army of goblins. This whole army of evil forces, right? Now, our heroes on Earth Prime, like Superman, Batman, which by the way, Batman's dead. He's using the Black Lantern ring to bring back older heroes. They're all coming together, and we have this whole clash of armies. But who is fighting out against the Darkest Knights? You're probably thinking, wait, Death Metal #6 ended with Wonder Woman becoming more powerful, right? And she's gonna fight up against him. Well, this issue says otherwise. Instead, we got Superboy-Prime going up against the Darkest Knights. It's gonna be a clash of titans, and also we get the origin of Superboy-Prime in this issue. Kinda like a recap of his origin, but more developed, right? But yeah, guys, if you're ready, let's dive into this issue. We begin on Earth Prime in 1984. Superboy-Prime, who was called Clark Kent when he was a child, is in the comic book store surrounded by comics like The Flash, Superman. Now, he's reading a Superman comic and he narrates, "I was adopted, just like him. That's why my parents named me Clark Kent. They found me in a field, abandoned. It always made me feel unwanted, alone. But I had Superman. I always had Superman. Until he betrayed me." Now, we see him reading this comic, and we see these bullies come up to him. Now, this one bully says, "Hey, Kent, you know the toll for coming here, pay up." Now, Clark says, "This isn't your store, Kenny, and I only have enough money on me for the latest issue of Superman." Now, that's when Kenny says, okay, Superman's so lame. And Clark says, "He's not. You know, I don't care how many of you there are. I'm not giving you anything." Now, that's when they take the Superman comic book away from him. And Clark says, "Hey." And Kenny says, "Your parents named you after a cartoon character, but there's a big difference between Superman and you." Now, Clark says, "Don't." Now, they rip the comic book in half. And Kenny says, "You're the Clark Kent who bleeds." Now they go up and they pull Clark Kent close. They're gonna beat him up. Now, that's when water is dumped on Kenny. And Kenny gets up, he says, "Lori, what'd you do that for?" So Lori, who's the best friend of Clark, or Superboy-Prime, comes up to these bullies and takes care of her, right? Now, that's when Clark smiles and says, "Sorry about the comic. I can still pay for it." And Lori says, "Don't be silly. You were pretty brave standing up to all of them like that." Now, Clark says, "I was brave? I barely did anything. You were incredible." And that's when Lori says, "Don't sell yourself short, Clark. You tried. That's what counts." Now, that's when we shift and we see Clark on Wednesday. He's looking at his comics, and his mother comes in saying, "Hey, somebody's here and stuff." And he's like, "Oh, I gotta read my comics." But that's when she says, "It's Lori." He's like, "Why'd you not tell me?" So he's excited. He's having a great time with Lori. And Lori was pretty much Clark's world, right? They went got ice cream together, watched movies. It became 1985. Now it's Halloween time, and we see him read his comics, and Lori walks in with a costume, and she's like, "Hey, we gotta go, we're running out of time." And Clark's like, "Oh, sorry, I was reading the new comic about Superman, and what they're doing with him and Supergirl. It's really interesting." But that's when she gives him his costume, and it's a Superman costume. Now we see Clark in the Superman costume with Lori walking down this beach, right? He says, "So many stars." And Lori says, "It's beautiful." And Clark says, "I wish I could touch them." Now Lori says, "Clark, are you okay? You've been looking up there all night." And Clark says, "I know, I hear something. It's so weird. Like someone's calling my name from way up there. like someone needs my help. Now, Lori says, Clark, where are you going? Now, Clark then jumps. He says, up, up, and away. Now, he tries to fly, but he lands in the sand immediately. And Lori says, nice try, Superboy. And Clark says, sorry, Lori. I don't know what I was thinking. Now, Lori kisses him on the cheek and says, let's stop thinking so much. Now, they walk to the beach and talk about each other throughout the night, about their future, about their plans, how they get married, have a dog, have kids. So they're planning their life together. Now, that's when Clark points to the sky and says, look at that, Lori. Make a wish. They see a star. Now, that's when Clark starts flying. He's floating. And Lori says, Clark, am I crazy or... Oh my god, look at you. And Clark says, I'm flying. Lori, I'm flying. Now he flies up into space. And he encounters Superman. Now Superman says, excuse me, young man, but who are you? Now, Superman and Superboy met together, and that's what led to Crisis on Infinite Earths. They needed Superboy's help, right? Now, we had that whole event with the Anti-Monitor. Now, a bunch of worlds were destroyed. Lori was killed, and that's when Superboy-Prime, he was like, wait, maybe I could change this. Because you guys remember, we had him go into like this paradise place with Superman and Lois. But then we had Infinite Crisis, where Superboy found a chance, pretty much saw a chance to save Lori, his girl, right? Now, he tried to do that, but then everybody went against him. And we see that whole fight recreated in this scene, where he's fighting out against all the Teen Titans, and he says, what are you doing? I'm not a bad guy. Get off me. Get off me. Now, he lashed out, and he became a villain. Now, we see Superboy-Prime just standing there. Right before the big fights, he's remembering his origin, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, all the things that happened to him. And we see the Superman family in the back. We have Superman, who's still turning into Darkseid. We have Lois, Superboy, the new one, Jonathan Kent. We have Supergirl, we have Connor Kent in the back, and Steel. And they don't really trust him. Well, Superman and Lois do, but Connor Kent doesn't really. They're wondering if Superboy-Prime will bail on them in the big fight. We see the villains like Parasite, Metallo, and they all talk about we don't want to get close to him. Like, they don't want to get close to Superboy-Prime because he's very dangerous, he's different. And Parasite says, I don't want Joe from that freak, Corbin. The one time I bumped shoulders with the Joker, I was tripping for a week. So Parasite's like, hey, I am not going to touch Superboy-Prime. Yes, I get a lot of power, but it also might destroy me. Now, Superboy-Prime just thinks. He gets on a rock. Now we see Krypto come by. Krypto stares at Superboy-Prime, and Superboy-Prime says, what do you want? Now, Krypto licks his lip and yells, lick. And Superboy-Prime says, what are you looking at, you stupid dog? Now, Krypto just has all his cute eyes that goes up to him and actually makes Superboy-Prime happy for a sec. Superboy-Prime gets out his hand and he starts paying Krypto. He smiles and says, I remember the first stories I read about you. Now, we see Superboy-Prime takes his hand off Krypto as Connor Kent flies toward him. Connor Kent says, Krypto, hey, what the hell are you doing with him? And Superboy-Prime says, me? Nothing. Your dumb dog came over here. Now, Connor says, you hurt him and I'll beat your brains in. You got it? I'll shove that lame-ass armor down your throats. Now, Superboy-Prime says, keep your mutt away from me. I don't like him anyhow. I never did. A flying dog in a cape? So stupid. Now that's when we hear a rumble, and that's when we see the whole army of the Darkest Knights has arrived. This whole army of Superman, evil Superman, and leading them is the one that went through the black hole and has to kill people. He has a bloodlust. Now we see them all charge our heroes, and that's when Superman says, you fight with us, Lex, and Lex says, we're with you. Besides, killing these Supermen will be a good practice. Now that's when what the evil Superman say, for our creator. Now all the heroes and the villains that clash at each other. We see our Superman clashes with the most powerful evil Superman, and we see this whole fight that breaks out. Now, Superboy-Prime, he starts getting a fight with this one evil Superman, and he actually uses heat vision to blast the Superman back and starts beating the crap out of him. But when he destroys the Superman, he sees the world that this Superman is from just turned from evil to actually good. And Superboy-Prime says, what the? When I hit the imaginary stories reject, I see the world he's from change. Why? So by hitting this evil Superman, he's actually helped a world that used to be dark and very evil. Now, Superboy-Prime flies off, you're a boom! And Connor Kent says, I knew it, Prime's ducking out. You're no hero, you hear me? Not on this Earth or any other. Now, Prime starts flying through all these evil Earths. There's 52 of them. And he comes up with this idea that if he could change all these different worlds into good by just killing their Superman, then if he destroys the Darkest Nights, everything will go back to normal. He'll destroy all these evil Earths. So he charges at the Darkest Nights. Now he hits the Darkest Night in the face. You're at Prakum. You have this big explosion. You see all these good universes being born out of the death of all these dark universes. We see Superboy-Prime. He clenches his fist in front of Krypto. He punches the Darkest Night one more time. You're a big boom. Now, that's when we see all these dark universe, they just shatter. And Superboy-Prime, he falls from this big fight. He says, Lori. He falls down, hits the ground very fast, and Steel looks up. He says, look, the evil worlds, they're vanishing. And Supergirl says, whoever did, they just gave us a fighting chance. And Cyborg Superman says, whoever did is dead. And that's when we see the original Superboy say, but who? Who did? Now, that's when we see this dope page spread drawn by Francis Manapul. We see Superboy-Prime, he's on the ground. He's pretty much defeated, he's done. He's just out of motivation, and he just used all his power in taking out the Darkest Nights. But on top of him is Krypto, and Krypto just barks. It's a very amazing image, and my favorite image in this book. But what we see next is Krypto just licks Superboy-Prime's face and looks up and barks really loud. They might have just won the fights. The story might be over. Now we go back to a young Clark Kent who becomes Superboy-Prime, and he's reading this comic book. He says, huh? What's going on? I was fighting and that's me. And then we see Lori. She walks in. Clark, you want to go get some lunch at the diner? And Clark says, Lori, you can't be here. And Lori says, I get it, Clark. You want to be left alone to read your comics. I forgot it's Wednesday. Or are they out on Tuesdays now? Now she starts to shut the door, but that's when Clark gets up. He says, no, wait. Lori looks back and says, what? Clark, you're staring at me. Clark, what is it? Clark says, I don't know how the story ends. Or wait, maybe I do. It'll end like all the others, with a to be continued. They always do. Now he sets down the Dark Knight's Death Metal Secret Origins comic and says, let's go outside. And Lori says, but you're not done. And Clark says, I don't need to finish this. And Lori says, let's bring your dog. And Clark says, dog? I don't have a... Now we see Krypto. He comes in and jumps on Clark. And Clark just laughs a little bit. And he says, good dog. So we saw this relationship form between Krypto and Superboy-Prime. Now, Clark walks outside. It's very sunny. He says, it's so bright out here. And Lori says, have you noticed the colors seem so different? And Clark says, I guess they do seem different. I sure feel different. Do you remember that night, Lori, at the beach? And Lori says, when we made our plan. And that's when Clark says, yeah, but also when I flew up in the sky. And Lori laughs and says, oh, Clark, you never get tired of telling that story, but you know you're the Clark Kent without powers, and that's okay. Now, that's when we see this boy. His ball goes out into the road. He's about to get hit by this car. We are honk honk. So this boy's about to get killed by getting run over by this car. But Clark Kent says, oh no. He starts charging to save this kid. But Lori says, Clark, what are you doing? Now, that's when Clark puts his hands underneath the car. He picks up the car above his head in the same way that Superman did in Action Comics #1. The big iconic moment. He picks it up, and Lori is in shock. Now, Superboy-Prime narrates. He says, oh, well, maybe this story isn't over. I guess they never are. But maybe you should go outside for a walk too. So that's how this issue ends, guys, and it's pretty much going to be concluded in Death Metal #7. So yeah guys, that was Dark Knight's Death Metal, The Secret Origin #1. And guys, this issue was awesome. Seeing Superboy-Prime have the spotlights and him be like the main character was really cool. And the origin at the beginning of the issue where we pretty much recounts his whole role in Crisis on Infinite Earths, how his life was before that with his girlfriend Lori, and his whole like role in Infinite Crisis and just his history was really neat, alright? I really like how that part was written and set up the issue, and we see all these people not trusting Superboy-Prime, but then he's the one to save everyone. He's the one to defeat the Darkest Knights. And let me tell you about this, guys. The part where he just punches Darkest Knight and takes him out like that, it was so dope, because guys, you see him, okay, we have this army of Superman that show up, and that was cool. I like seeing that one Superman again, that went through like the black hole, and it just kills people. That was pretty cool. But seeing this army of Superman, and they all fight, but then Superboy-Prime realizes that, hey, each time I destroy one of these Supermen, I can actually save a world. So if I destroy the Darkest Knights, I'll save everyone. So you know what, deuces, he'll leave his heroes, all the heroes, and Connor Kent, which Connor Kent, Superboy, you know he don't like Superboy-Prime, they have like a bad relationship, but Connor Kent is like, I knew it. He's just gonna leave us. Just gonna become a villain again. But that's not what Superboy-Prime does. Instead, he flies up and gives this big knockout blow to the Darkest Knights. And it's just so cool. Like, the image drawn here just looks amazing. Like, guys, the artist in this issue, Francis Manapul, Jerry Ordway. Like, Jerry Ordway does the parts with, like, the origin of Superboy-Prime and like the ending, which we'll get to that soon, but his art is very well done. But Francis Manapul, his artwork throughout looks amazing, guys. And the part where you see Superboy-Prime, he falls down, everybody notices that they might have just won, and it's because of Superboy-Prime. But when he falls, hits the ground, and you see this double page spread of Krypto on top of him, just pretty much barking and howling up at the wind, and Superboy-Prime is just like defeated. He's done because he just gave all his power to defeat the Darkest Knights. Very clean and poster-worthy image. Like, I really like it. Like, it's my favorite image in the entire issue, and really hits in the like, not in the feels in an emotional way, but a very epic way. Like, it brings that whole scene together very well. And then you see Krypto, who's just barking, right? And then it turns out that this comic is actually being read by Clark Kent, Superboy-Prime, on his Earth in real time. It breaks the fourth wall, guys. Pretty much Clark Kent is in the position of, like, us as DC fans. Okay, we read these comics, but we also have to get out and do stuff, right? And that's what happens. He goes out, and it's with Lori, he's having a good life. But turns out he still has powers. He picks up the car in this very iconic moment that is like a nostalgia or like a homage of the Action Comics #1 cover where Superman like picks up the car, right? So seeing this, and what this implies, okay, Superboy-Prime is just like us. We're DC fans, we read comics, but we also go out and do other things, right? But we're heroes in our own rights. It could be implying that, but it's also implying that the story isn't over. Like, you may think that, okay, he beat the Darkest Knights, everything's good. That's it. That's the end of Death Metal. But turns out it isn't. Now, I have a few questions here. The final issue of Death Metal promises a big fight between Wonder Woman and the Darkest Knights, but the Darkest Knight's defeated now. But it also could be, is this issue just in Superboy-Prime's mind? Just his perspective of it? Because this whole thing could not actually happen. This could just him thinking this through. That's it. Which, if that's the case, that is kind of disappointing, but still a good story. And at the same time, if this actually did happen, the Darkest Knights defeated, could the final issue of Death Metal be disappointing because the villain's done, Wonder Woman's now super powerful for no reason, and it's hard to determine where this issue fits in the whole Death Metal story. Because honestly, it just feels like an out-of-event issue that doesn't really need to be in the event. It's a cool Superboy-Prime issue. It's written very well. It's an amazing issue. But if you skipped it, you wouldn't be missing out on anything in the event. And you're probably like, wait, we would miss the big fight with the Darkest Knights and how he gets defeated. But I don't think that's true yet. Because we're promised a big fight between Darkest Knights and Wonder Woman in the Death Metal #7, the final issue of this event. And then if that happens, then this whole fight doesn't really mean anything. It's just an epic fight that isn't really in real time, right? So many questions, and I'd like to know all you guys' answers down below, your theories on this whole thing, and tell me your thoughts on this issue, guys. Did you love it? If you're a Superboy-Prime fan, did you like how he was depicted here? I really liked how he was depicted here. He was dope. We got an awesome image of him punching the darkest nights, and again, his relationship with Krypto was just so nice. It was just amazing. It really brightens up your day. Seeing him with Krypto gives him like a smile on his face. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much my thoughts on this issue. I'm overall gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. One of the best issues. And some people may not like it because it's not really big in terms of death metal, technically. It doesn't really tie into it more. It's just a Superboy-Prime focused issue. But I'm a big Superboy-Prime fan. And I'm pretty sure a lot of DC fans love the character. So I'm pretty sure you guys will enjoy it, right? But yeah, guys, if you like the video, give a big thumbs up. New to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on my next death metal video. All we got left is War for the Multiverse, which is the 80-page comic coming out next week. And the following week, we got Death Metal number 7, the final issue, which I'm wondering how that's gonna end. It's kind of hard to see how this issue, Secret Origin, fits into the grand scheme of Death Metal. We'll see in the coming weeks, but for now, thanks for watching, and peace out.